Marie, how are you doing?
Hi, Marie, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay. Okay, great. All right. It is 3:04, so I'm going to call us to order. We are all present except for David, who let us know he was going to be, he's traveling today and not able to be back for the meeting. So is there a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting? So moved. And we have a second. Is there any discussion?
Is there any changes to the one online? Was the same as this one?
The only thing that was added was the sickage audit, and Kurt added some future meeting dates.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. The previous meeting minutes from August 20th. Is there a motion to approve? Motion to approve the August 20th. And we have a second. Any comments, questions, changes about the meeting minutes? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. So on to dispatcher recognition.
Yes, ma'am. So one of the things that we have been not struggling with, but one of the things some of the dispatchers have not been putting enough emphasis on is our APCO cards. So Jason is now our APCO EMT trainer. And so he has been working with everybody on getting the use of these cards standardized. And he actually came to the last fire chiefs meeting to kind of let them know that we're putting a lot more emphasis into the program. And we're also meeting with our SSM medical director, Dr. Tracy. We've already met with her twice, and she's actually coming to observe dispatch.
Great. Has she gotten back to us about the life threats?
Yes, ma'am. So she said that she thinks the list that we have now of all of 26 or 27 or how many it is a good list. She'd like to say she just wants to come back and do like one final walkthrough. She's already met with Dr. Lee. She's trying to get him to come also because he's the medical director for some of the FDs. And so we're pretty much going to stay as is. Once all that is squared away, then Kurt can go into provisioning and turn that third modifier.
Okay. Yep. Speaking of, next item is Motorola and Regis support for provisioning, mapping, and routing.
So one of the things that we could not get a straight answer out of, it seemed like different people at Regis were giving us different answers. And so we actually went to the source in the GIS department, and she confirmed that they are getting shape files from the county every week. But again, it's not one of those things where they can hand us a thumb drive and we can go and plug it in to overlay the maps, because there's been 3 years of work done on those maps. So everything is being done by hand. And of course, will we ever get to the point where it's perfect? I doubt it, because cities are always changing. So we rely on the guys in the street to come back and go, hey, this is different now, or I know it said we would go this way and we used to do that and now we're going this way or whatever. And then a lot of times we can fix it in real time.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
If they're sending it every week, the shape files, did we ask her when she thinks the department would at least get it to be current? Whatever current is.
Yeah, that's one. I don't know even how to define current.
Close to now?
I think we're very close to there.
How quickly she acts on the files, is that maybe the question?
Ma'am?
How quickly is the Regis GIS acting on the new files?
Same week.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So they're putting it all together, but again, we can just have things that pop up. But I think
So it's current.
it's current, but it's always currently being worked on as well.
Have you communicated that to our department?
But we have,
Okay.
yeah, we went over that in the last meeting. So, and Brentwood has actually been one of the departments that's been really good about doing that. Is like, hey, you know, we keep getting called to here, but we know these other departments are closer. Can we diagnose why? And Regis and Motorola have been Johnny on the spot lately, saying, yes, let's set up a meeting. We get the chief in there. We had Ronnie in there last time. Last week we had Ed in there because Ronnie was out and did what he needed to do, then ran the test calls because Regis is in the room as well. And he's like, hey, it looks great. So because sometimes we don't know what we don't know.
So what is causing the difference?
So the first time was it was pulling Brentwood instead of Aspen or Shrewsbury, and that was that whole cost versus distance thing. Why it was set on distance and it was ignoring all the speed limits, we don't know. But when we changed it to cost, then it put all the speed limits in there, and it's like, okay, Brentwood cannot make this in 4 minutes. It actually takes 9.
What was
And-
that first word you said? Cost?
Cost,
What is it? COST?
yes, cost and distance. I don't know why they would have even named those, but when we changed it to distance, then it put the actual speed limits back on the call. And then when we reran the call, then it was Athens first and Shrewsbury second.
You said that the other way around, I think.
So,
When you do the cost, it put the speed, it put it in.
okay, we switched it back. We switched it to the one that
What
allows,
does it do? I'm not sure I understand cost.
I don't even, I'm not, just think of it as option 1 or option 2. I don't know why Motorola would have named it like that.
So that's just, those are the two options.
There's only 2
Given-
options and it's
And
in-
Motorola chose the names.
Yeah, and it's buried in a subpage called route solve. We didn't even know where to look for it. Yeah.
Can I just ask some clarifying question about the process? So the map data is sent to Regis. She's updating it weekly. Does she proactively push out any notification just to let you know, or is that just happening constantly?
It's all kind of happened constantly in the background. We don't get, now we can request that and just say, hey, because I think right now on one of the intersections, on one of the tickets, it's like one of the intersections, there's something wrong with that there. And so we'll go for specific things and go, can you look at this intersection right here and see if it's, I don't even know the GIS terminology for those.
Like, you need to clear a ticket, you need to, then you report on the ticket.
Right. Correct.
I guess if it's not a ticket,
If it's not a ticket, they can just send an email in, you know, or call us and say, hey, look at this or whatever.
okay, so that's also, so we're not necessarily logging what's being changed on Regis's end, but you're logging what's coming to you from folks on the street, right? Like, this isn't working.
Mhm.
And then you're pushing those through.
Right.
So there's no log though necessarily that shows any of us what changes have been made.
I'm sure the GIS people have,
Okay.
I'm sure they do, but I haven't, that doesn't get pushed. But I can shoot an email out there and ask how she records that.
But isn't that all, aren't they updating? They're updating like all of St. Louis County or a metro. I mean, it's not just our cities, right? The GIS file is multiple.
It's everybody that's on the
Yeah,
archive,
so
correct?
you think of all the things that are possibly changed, I guess.
I think they're jumping, that is correct. So on Tuesdays, we do get an email that they're pushing a map update, and it's for all Regis users. And I think, I'm not overstepping, I think what happens at times, something gets corrupt in whatever update they're sending out. For example, last week, or 2 weeks ago, because it was last Wednesday, you guys met with Chief Bernie.
Mhm.
I believe what happened, something got corrupt with Brentwood's file, where it was pulling 2917 Frontenac's ambulance in when Brentwood's ambulance was not available, for example. So 3217 Clayton is in quarters, Heights is in quarters, and there's an EMS calling Brentwood at Manchester, I'm sorry, Hanley and Dale. Instead of picking Clayton and Richmond Heights, it's picking Frontenac, not the closest ambulance.
Correct.
For a life threat. So these are issues that I believe that we experience that's beyond East Central's control. But something gets pushed out, it's changed over a week. Chief Control is saying, hey, this isn't right. Brad looks into it. Brad's trying to address it. Brad says something's messed up. He's with Motorola, and then it's addressed. I think our concerns, and Chief Rose jumped in here, I'm just stating real quick. I think what we worry about is this isn't a Brad issue, but here's an issue for a whole week. Brentwood's getting an ambulance that's further away than it shouldn't be getting. Just for clarity, so the wife's like maybe not breathing. They're getting Frontenac's ambulance when Richmond Heights is sitting in quarters. And that's the issue that we're trying to, I guess, bring out.
And
Brad addresses it. I want to get Brad.
Yeah.
don't necessarily get the answer back.
That doesn't track all the changes that week's update.
What they said is the changes to the map. It can be St. Charles City, it can be St. Louis County Parks, be Hazelwood, it could be East Central. We usually have 2 or 3 in there every week. We'll get that, but as far as we put a ticket in, right, there's those, maybe that's 2 different. This is mapping stuff we get, which probably does come from our tickets that we put in. You know, but Pete's point was we have to wait a week to get it fixed. And that, from my experience in CADs, it gets fixed like that, if it's that big of an issue, and that's a big issue. So.
as soon as we found out about the ambulance issue, Motorola immediately set up a call and it was addressed.
You know, but something serious could have happened while, you know, the fire station is further away being dispatched. Isn't there a workaround whereby instead of it, I don't know if that's the solution.
The CAD selects
It's
the unit and the dispatcher hits the button. There is no dispatcher looking with a slide rule and going, or maybe, you know, it just doesn't happen. Now, all the fire departments do have the ability to self-dispatch.
so they're listening to the calls at the same time, right? And but they can't dispatch themselves. Is that self-dispatch?
You can, correct?
But you can jump the call if you want.
Yeah.
You can self-assign, but we
How
don't
often
have,
do we do that? Never.
Yeah, but if you're
a lot.
right, for maybe when you're in quarters, you wouldn't be monitoring.
we self-assign a lot.
Oh, we do.
So Chief Control had sent in saying that the error occurred my understanding is this error occurred because of a manual manipulation of the auto time delay between ECDC units and Central County units.
Now
That's
you're
not GIS.
that rings a bell. So Kurt, at the last fire chiefs meeting, Kurt had been asked to look into the delays. We have delays that are placed on Central County units intentionally. And I think he pulled the delay off of Ladue, did some test calls, then went to put the delay back on and forgot to hit save. Something along those lines. But then he came in the next morning, got it fixed, ran a whole bunch of test calls and everything was fine. But that was him. And I'm not going to speak for him, but I'll let him explain what he was actually
So
doing.
that wasn't the GIS update.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. That was a Kurt.
That was Kurt.
There's a provision.
What's that?
That's provisioning.
It was just an example, which like I said, maybe one, where a change was made that nobody was aware of that impacted the response that took a week to address. Because it wouldn't even take Ladue, like you said, like Ladue was sitting in
You're
quarters.
saying so did it take a week to address or did it take a week to realize?
No, it took a day to address the meeting, and he fixed it the very next day.
But you're saying.
But I don't,
Chief Control submitted 3 tickets, correct? When they started having issues, could you please look into this? And I
there'll be
believe
two different issues on those 3 tickets. Because one we met with him, and then one we met with Ed. So the whole thing with the delay, that was one single day. And it was brought up and it was fixed. But I don't think maybe it wasn't, we didn't have the meeting with Motorola until the next week. I think that's right.
I think you guys are.
But it had already been fixed.
Seems like this will continue to happen.
Once we get a CAD to CAD interface, the delays will no longer be necessary. The delays are on there, right? Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
I thought we, agreed to take the delays off.
If he takes all the delays,
That's
huh?
why he was testing them, I would assume.
But I
The
think
delays was
when he
Central
took
County.
the, when he took the delays off was what made them, was what caused the mistake.
Was it, but the Ladue truck wasn't the closest one still.
But that was, the taking the delay off of it was what made it the cab select with it. That's why he put it back on there, so the closest truck would get dispatched.
Well, if we put a time delay on and it selects the closest ambulance, and then we take a time delay and take it off, and it selects an ambulance that's further away, then there's probably something in the provisioning there that's off, because ideally, we want the delays gone, right? We want them gone. And the reason was that for the processing time with the transition of calls and all that stuff. So it's interesting that it did it and it didn't work. That's intriguing to me.
Even with units within the East Central.
Correct.
Well, we can, after we're done here, we can, set up a meeting to play around with it and Regis and actually run some calls and see what having the delays on there and off there do.
I know I hear Chief Cultural talk to me.
About mapping.
Pulling from departments that are closed, when others are just, what is it, sitting at the station, their station.
And that, like I say, this one was something that Kurt tried and I understand that we have delays on Central County units and Central County has delays on our units. And that's why I'm saying that if we get this in Terra, I think the delays go away. Or whatever type of cab-to-cab interface that we get, the delays go away. But for right now, this is something that Kurt and Paul, I guess, did you put them on about 3 years ago or?
Oh, they've been on forever.
Just going back to the old era when you'd have to call them mutually radio, get them the answer, give the call out. So there was an automatic delay. So you wouldn't want, and that's where the minute delay or two would get added to those mutual aid units because there was a call processing time.
We did decrease them to, I think, one minute about 3 years ago with Central County because seems like there was a better efficiency in transmitting calls. So we did decrease them, but we still have them on them because there is a delay where you're not necessarily get the closest ambulance, but you get the ambulance there that's the fastest to get there because of the delay. Right. So.
Okay, anything else about provisioning, mapping, routing? Brad, you have anything else? Anybody, any of the? Okay, mission critical partners.
We actually had a meeting with the entire team yesterday, virtual meeting. Going over, they were just asking additional information. They had some other questions about staffing, some things that they were going to look into. They're still working on the pricing model. The only part of the pricing model that we've told them that nobody likes is the city valuation. So they're not going to even consider putting that in there as a variable. So they're working on those. We have another sync call planned for 2 to 3 weeks and go from there. So they're still working on all of the reports that were made.
Is the goal that before the end of the year, all the reports come out?
Yes, that's the goal. Webster, October 7th, City Council meeting. Kurt and I went and did that that evening. And I had put together a PowerPoint to go over all of the operational changes that we've worked on since the March meeting. And their city council saying they didn't have that many questions and they seemed pretty happy with the presentation. And We're thankful that we were there. I think, Mayor Arnold, when her and the other two mayors from Brentwood and, Clayton came out to Regis for the second iteration, that meeting that we did on July the 2nd, Regis did it again just for those three. And they said that they found that very helpful. And so, I mean, it went pretty quick there for that question.
I would just add.
Wait.
Oh, sorry, ma'am.
Marie,
Yeah, thanks. I want to echo that. It did go very well. Council didn't have a lot of questions, and that is because I think they're waiting for the reports and recommendations from Mission Critical. So they're really looking forward to Brad returning after that to share those updates.
Yes, ma'am.
We appreciated them being here.
is that slide deck something you can share with the rest of us?
The slide deck, absolutely. I'll send it to you digitally. The Aurelian Riot Digital, this non-emergency admin phone software, we're still, Mission Critical did do a AI analysis, like an environmental analysis for us. We haven't gotten that back, so I have not pressed any further on the AI automation. And Tara, the P1 to Central Square interface, on September the 18th, we actually had a meeting at Regis that I think actually did something. Because a lot of the prior meetings with Intera was just kind of, oh, we can do this, we can do that. And then everybody would kind of leave the meeting and it's like, okay, where are we going now? And nobody's really picking us up and doing anything with it. So when we got that $200,000 estimate between Regis and Motorola to build this interface, I got with the CIO over there at Regis and was like, where's this number coming from? And what we thought, it wasn't a number that Motorola had given it, it was a guess. It was a wild estimation of, well, this is usually how much it costs to build an interface. Until Intera's like, we've already built it. All we need to do is get access to your stuff. So on this meeting right here, we actually got the engineers from both sides together and said, you guys figure it out and tell us how much it costs to get it. So that's what that is.
Should be less than that.
It should be exponentially less. So.
Next to nothing.
Did they give you a time frame?
No, ma'am, they did not. And it's engineers. So, I mean, I just ping Regis every week. Hey, have we heard anything else? Nothing so far. The memorandum of agreement, I'm actually shocked that I'm going to say this, that something actually moved. The Regis MOA was signed by Central County 911 on September the 25th and sent back to Regis. So all the official documents between Regis and Central County for map sharing
Are official.
Okay. You have a copy of the signature.
So, I'm sorry, the agreements are official. They're gonna give us the map.
That's between Regis and Central County.
Yeah. Has Regis told you when that might happen?
No, but I can ask.
Please do.
Okay. The signature audit letter I gave you a copy of. He just wanted to make sure that that you got a copy and that it was in the minutes that everybody received one. I know I skipped the LTD lead balance because I'm going to close with that. This only affects 5 people in ECDC, 5 of the people that have been here longest. So Anne was explaining to me in finance that when Paul was still here, they had brought this up. This is a program that went back to Amy, Paul's predecessor.
Amy Williams.
Ma'am?
Amy Williams, not Amy Hamilton.
No.
That's right.
Yes, Paul's predecessor. And there's something in the leave policy that is 100% wrong, that we are not doing. So Ann had come to me and said, hey, can you look at this leave policy and tell me how you're doing it? So in the leave policy, it talks about, and I'm gonna have to rewrite the whole thing, but it talks about an ECDC leave bank. That does not exist.
Did it exist at one time?
I think it was a concept at one time under Amy,
That never got.
but everybody said, I don't want to put into a general leave bank and then have the director determine who gets my sick days, because if I do that, people are going to take advantage. And then, so instead of an ECDC, and that's the way the policy is written, that it's a central bank, and once you put them in there, they're no longer used. Those hours belong to ECDC to be used at the director's discretion. But it also says in the leave policy that your leave is capped, your sick leave is capped at 500 hours. The problem was this was added, it wasn't a leave bank, an ECDC leave bank, everybody got their own LTD bank opened up. So it's
Made by them.
LTD, they put it under LTD, meaning long-term disability. So when I get the monthly leave report, everybody has an LTD column from that leave report. Only 5 people actually have anything in there other than 0.
So after 500, it was going into the LT.
Correct, when it was never supposed to.
So 5 people have beyond 500.
One person has over 1,500 hours. So,
How does that work?
Of sick leave?
oh, sick,
In addition to their 500,
1,000 hours in addition to their 5.
Okay.
So I called Jennifer on this and I said, hey, I don't think this was probably ever brought to the board 5 or 6 years ago. And so no one really even knew about this. And what the problem that it causes is with the person that has 1,000 and someone else has under 400 and someone else has over 200. So we have about 1,500 or so of these extra hours out there that are on the audit are showing as a liability. They have no cash value because it also says in the sick leave policy that we do not pay out sick leave on termination of employment or retirement. So these hours have no real cash value. Now I did call, I went through Christine and I called Richmond Heights' city attorney and spoke with him, and he said that he did not see any legal ramifications if you guys decided to vote those hours or whatever it is that you choose.
Did you call the city attorney or the personnel attorney?
Hours?
Personnel attorney.
Okay, yeah. So when I called Jennifer, I said, is this something you just want me to take care of, or do you want me to bring it to the board? And she said, bring it to the board. So
I don't recall ever hearing about this. I remember we paid out sick leave and or vacation. Maybe it was just vacation. Paula and Amy and Marie, do you remember that? It may have been before your time, Marie. But you remember we did that? Yeah. But I don't ever remember making changes to sick leave, allowing personalized.
That may have come about
Thanks.
when there was an employee that was sick 2 years ago, like in 2009 or 10, there was a dispatcher that had cancer and had to get treatment, I believe, right out of sick time. I'm just hypothesizing that could have been what
I
something was
know
doing.
that leave has been a liability for ECDC for years because you have
Yeah.
long-term employees.
And that's what we
But
paid.
that's not
some
that
of the hours.
that our cities have
I
similar
think so,
liability.
We paid it out to bring it down.
But I don't know if it's. I don't know.
2019.
Yeah.
and I believe,
Are the shifts 10 hours or 12 hours?
ma'am,
So I was trying to do the math on 5.
no, it's fine.
It's a lot.
So with this liability, this 1,500 or so hours, apparently Ann said that she had talked to Paul about it too, and Paul was just like, just kind of let it go. But that liability is only coming for
So it sounds like we have two problems. One is the existing hours above and beyond the 500. And then the secondary problem of we're not enforcing the existing cap of 500 in the personnel manual. So it sounds like we could at least stop the accruals above and beyond the 500 because that's written in the personnel manual.
And then you could just delete all of this stuff about.
Have to redo the leave or the sick, the part in the leave policy that talks about sick leave, about any reference to a leave bank.
I think that's in the policy now.
Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it?
Was that bank ever used?
No. It was, so Kurt, according to Kurt, like I say, this was an Amy idea. And people just didn't go for it, but somehow it got morphed into this personal leave.
What I don't understand is the people that have the additional hours in the leave bank, how do they get it?
Just every month, every leave report that I get, it's just got the approval.
Because it sounds
on
like
there. It would,
they hit their 500 cap
And it just comes on?
and it rolled over into this
They're
personal.
obviously not using. So.
into this LTD.
Which is, I mean,
And
So is it
to
a
each,
programming that Richard Hines finance?
oh yeah, I mean, you can turn it on or turn it off, so.
Hold on, Amy, would you guys mind speaking up? I'm trying to follow, it's hard to hear on that side.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tell me what you've heard and if,
It's not worth recapping. I think I've captured most of it. It's just hard on that other side of the table. Thank you.
no problem.
The finance software has the ability, so I guess because there was this talk of some sort of rollover fund. And maybe the technology didn't match the policy, but maybe they just at least turned on the ability to track a secondary accrual over once you get to the max. And the question is,
what do you do with these hours that are allowed?
yeah, the question is, it's not really, the policy was never implemented as it's spoken of.
Correct.
But the auditors are saying, but you have these hours out here that is a liability until it's not a liability, right? I guess, but you're saying that since there is no payout, there's no cash value, but it's just leave, earned leave.
Correct.
And
But
you don't have a policy to even allow someone to tap into this secondary.
not written in policy. What Kurt said he believes the way that it was supposed to work was the 500 cap is supposed to get you to where you can start doing FMLA. But
No. Long-term disability, totally
Correct.
different, two different things.
but that some,
The long-term disability starts at 90 days. So that's where I was trying to do the math on the 500, because that doesn't, if you work a 12-hour shift, then 500 does not hit you 90 days.
Oh.
If you work, well, I guess, you're not working, how many, I don't know how many hours.
I don't think.
Because I'm so used to 8-hour math, it's hard for me to do 12-hour math. So I guess you have to do the 12-hour math.
How many days a week do you work?
I'm the same.
Not you. How many days a week do the dispatchers work on average?
1 week is 5 and the next week is 3.
It's 2080 per year.
2080 per year. So, I mean,
Yeah, but
even
I'm
if
trying
they
to-
have the
Long-term
500,
disability starts after 90 days.
yes,
That's
starts
why I'm
after
trying to-
90 days, but you would be able to use your sick leave if you do go out for FMLA. I am assuming that if you want to get paid for that, you have to take your sick and or vacation. So, these 500 would be able to be used should you go out for FMLA.
So I get
also.
the point is that you really, once you get to 90 days, long-term disability, which ECDC provides for its employees free of charge. And so I guess you're saying Christine or somebody was saying that from a sick leave standpoint, once you get to 90 days, the employer has covered you beyond that.
You also have to use all your
So
sick
you have to use all your leave before.
before before even short-term will kick in.
Right, so if you had 1,000 hours on the books, then you can't get long-term disability.
You can't get
Which is
short-term.
silly that you're paying.
You can't get short-term.
Yeah,
but-
but it's, ECDC doesn't provide short-term, ECDC provides long-term disability. So why pay for a policy if you have an additional leave on top of it, that therefore you're paying a premium for a policy that you can never trigger on these 5 employees? So you do, it doesn't make sense to have any more than the 90 days. I'm just saying, I don't know how many hours for a dispatcher it takes to get.
Why
to
don't we
90
do a
days.
calculation before we start changing?
But as a board, I guess what I'm saying is, could we agree that if 500 hours gets someone to the 90 days, that's the policy that I guess I'm saying the board could decide what the policy is. The math can be done by anyone else other than the board. But what is the policy that the board wants?
Is it how many hours they should get?
So 2080 divided by
Then
4.
the cap 1/6 should be the 90 days, or, I mean, obviously, or is there another policy that someone thinks makes more sense?
I don't know that I want to, like, if we have said 500 hours is the cap, and usually caps are based on numbers of hours, right? I personally, like, I don't think it's the 500 hours in and of itself that is the problem. The problem we've created, or that we are faced with, is we haven't been enforcing the cap, and we have allowed the greater than 500 to be accrued. So I would rather deal with, let's enforce the cap, assuming that the cap is actually existing and written into our policy, and then deal with what we're gonna do with this extra stuff.
Well, the cap is, isn't that what the auditors brought to his attention? So the cap is 500.
Above the cap.
Right.
Yeah, it's the above the cap. So I would think as a board, we might want to like direct, if we're comfortable, at least direct Brad to say, we're enforcing the 500, like stop the accrual beyond the 500, at least while we figure out what to do with that, or how to talk to employees about, you're no longer going to have this greater than 500. You no longer have your personal LTD sick.
What is the expectation and understanding among these 5 individuals about this LTD bank?
I've not discussed it with them. 3 of them, like I say, have a handful. But then there are 2 that have hundreds, and then, like I say, the one that has 1,000. So if 2080 is the number that shift workers work for the year, and we're looking at 90 days, 90 days before long-term disability kicks in, that's 520 hours for a 12-hour shift worker to get to 3 months. So we're right there at that point. But what had happened is nobody got anything in the LTD bank until they hit 500. Once you start accruing in that over and above that 500, you still have to use the 500 before you could tap into the others. So we do have one person that has like 200 and something hours, but now she's sitting at, on the LTD side, but on the sick leave side, sitting at about 350 or something. So she's still accruing up to that 500 with these other hours sitting out here. So that can happen where people can have LTD hours and not be sitting at 500 on sick.
Because you're saying that if you then, let's say you used a month, now your accrual is going back to get you to the 500.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is the way it should.
I'm sure there's a way to document all of this. And if person A has 200, but in the LTD, they have the additional 300, can't we make them?
That's
Then
also,
500?
that's another question, yes, ma'am, that I
And
would
they
have.
don't accrue anything after that until they.
It's fine, and it's just that we're adding liability, obviously, to the ECDC. You just need to understand.
I think in a way I see it maybe as a penalty to that individual. If at some point in time they hit the 500, that's how they were able to improve.
Mhm.
Maybe this is a discussion, but before we do away with the part that's in the LTD, I mean, certainly I know it happens today. There's a max. And at some point I'm earning more than the max, which means I forfeit it. It would be no different.
Is that how the other cities do too? Once you hit your 500, you're just not accruing it?
It's not like, right, you're not.
I don't know what the number is.
Okay.
So as you look at this for these 5 people, I think you need to keep that in mind so that no one feels they're being penalized for something they didn't know about. It's just oversight.
But they do know that they've accumulated in the LTD. That's appearing on their pay stub.
Yes.
So that's why I asked what their expectation is. Are they of the belief that this is available, this bank is available to them? Or
Does it appear as 2 separate
Yes.
Leave.
Two separate columns, sick leave and LTD.
on their pay stub?
On their pay stub. And then, like I say, I did need a leave report from all 24 people.
Okay, is there a decision that we feel comfortable making today? I'm not seeing.
I'm wondering if the personnel attorney, when given all the information, would make a specific recommendation.
So maybe, I think, as a board, we would need to see the policy, your recommended changes, some implications for, and options for what we should do. Can we authorize Brad to contact the personnel attorney again? Are we comfortable with him?
I'm comfortable. Can we vote on
Yeah, does he want to come up with a recommendation?
And maybe he does, right? Maybe
Discuss
he,
that first.
yeah, maybe, have a conversation with the personnel attorney. It looks like we're all comfortable with you
And then we'll discuss
reaching
it
out.
next.
and then bring it back to the December 17th meeting. Are we all good with that?
I thank you. It would be helpful, and apologies if this has already been said, but a memo with the full scope of the problem. I think I missed some of the time frames. But having the recommendation has already been stated, and I'm curious regarding the number of people that this will impact, and if perhaps one of those recommendations might be to grandfather those people in since policy was not in place. So not suggesting that should be a recommendation, but I would like to hear all of those types of options.
That's a good idea. The board could, the board could at least say that we need no more accrual in the LTD, that like it needs to stop.
Stop like today.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, if it's already,
Accrual, because the 500 cat policy is already the policy, we need to stop accrual in the LTD, but we need to come back and figure out what to do.
What to do with the
Okay.
5 people. that
So-
are impacted.
we have a motion on the floor to stop the accruals above and beyond the 500 immediately. Is there a second for that?
Second.
So we have a second. Any other comments, discussions about that directive? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. So we at least have that directive to stop
Okay.
accruals beyond 500.
Go back to finance.
Yes, okay. And then you will write us a memo with the existing policy, a draft policy, recommendations.
After I talk to the attorney.
Yes.
You do turn that off as of the first day of this pay period, which is Sunday or Monday, right? Sunday. So.
Okay,
Sunday.
all right.
Would it be helpful for us to share our respective policies with you? Is that relevant at all? So,
Okay.
But thank you.
All right. Anything else about LTD?
Thanks for bringing it.
Yes, thank you for bringing that to us. Okay, we did the Sickage audit letter. Public comment? Okay,
Thank you for asking.
you're welcome. I don't see anybody else Public future board meetings are listed. Full disclosure, I am leaving in 2 weeks. I'm leaving Friday. We'll be gone for 2 weeks. Please call Amy Hamilton next in line. Ours after O. You're on vacation? I am on vacation.
I was like, you're not leaving, right?
No, I'm on vacation. Yeah. I'm not taking the city cell phone with me, so. But nothing's going to happen. It's all going
It's
to
gonna be
be
just fine.
exceptionally boring. All right, anything else from anybody else? I don't think we need a closed session. Amy's giving us a motion to adjourn. And we're adjourned at 3:49.
Hey, good job. Under an hour, that just.
Bye, guys.
Oh,
Thank you.
Bye.
Hell, nice.
It went fine today, but I think your email was important.
I just think. Yeah, that's where I thought I was a secret.